Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TradeStation Masterclass. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. And it's always a pleasure to talk about TradeStation. I'm a little bit out of breath because I ran upstairs. I forgot my glasses, reading glasses downstairs. Today we're going to talk about the position graph bar. This is the bar that shows up at the top of the TradeStation desktop. It provides you a quick view of what your positions are doing. So sometimes it's really good to have it up there. And not only that, but it also allows you to manage some of those positions. So before we get started, let's go through some of the disclosures of this class. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, keep in mind that active trading is not suitable for everyone and that past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. If anybody needs additional information on these disclosures, go to www.tradestation.com/important-information. All right, let me switch over to my TradeStation platform. I had it open just a moment ago. And the position graph bar, it's a bar that is set to auto hide, meaning that if you take your cursor and you hover over position graph bar, it shows it to you, but if you move away, it hides. Now, let me go back in there to show it. And what I'm gonna do is over here towards the left-hand side, you're gonna find a push pin. If you hover over that push pin, it says auto hide. If you click it, the position graph bar is docked at the very top. And now you can just click on that push pin one more time to set it back to auto hide. But at any given moment, if you're keeping an eye on your positions, if you want to keep track of your real-time P&L, then sometimes it's just helpful to have that push pin clicked so that the bar doesn't hide and you can keep a view on your positions. Let's put in some trades. I have no positions open. You can see that my position graph bar is empty. There's no positions open. I see information on 3 indices. And the ones that are up here are the Dow Jones, symbol $INDU. We have the NASDAQ Composite, $COMPX. And then we have the S&P index, which is $SPX.X. These symbols that you have up here, those are the ones that show up by default. But if you want to add or remove any of the symbols that are there, then you can do so. Now, of course, we all usually look at the indices just to have an idea of where the market is in general terms. For example, if we look at the Dow, we know that it's down 130 points as we speak because that's real-time data that I have right there at the top. In fact, I'm not sure if you noticed, but I hover over the symbol and you get an extra data window with information about what the Dow Jones is doing. It also tells you the description at the very top. Sometimes if you forget what $COMPX stands for, hover over it and just tells you right there at the top that is the NASDAQ Composite, okay? So how do we change the symbols that are up there? Just right-click anywhere in the empty area of the position graph bar, go to settings, and there are some options here in settings. I would just go here to customize position graph bar. There you go. When you go in here, you're going to have a quotes tab, which controls, what is visible and what is not right there at the top of your TradeStation. So you can just use this to customize the symbols. So let's suppose that you're a stock trader. Okay, you're fine, having the indexes up here. But let's say, for example, that you also want to keep track of the volatility index. So I can type that in. If you don't know the symbol, you have a very easy lookup button here. I'm going to click on lookup to show you how this works. I'm going to go here to the indices tab, and I'm going to look for volatility. Let me look this up. So you can tell that we have multiple symbols that refer to volatility. even some international volatilities. For example, here we have a Brazil ETF volatility. So some of these symbol or indices are going to be very specific to a particular market or a particular product. The one that is, all these are provided by the Chicago Board of Options Exchange, the CBOE. But the one that it's usually looked at, or the one that is usually referred to, is $VIX.X, the Chicago Board of Options Exchange Volatility Index. So let's suppose that I want to add that to my list of symbols up there. I'm going to click OK, and you can see that it gets added right here at the very top. If I leave it at the top of my list, it'll be listed at the very beginning right here towards the left-hand side. So let me move it down, and I'll put it right after SPX.X. Let's suppose that I want to add another one. So I want to maybe add the S&P futures. I want to add this. I'm going to click on add. Notice that it goes up here again. I'm going to move it down. And, you know, any symbol you want to add up there, you just type it in, add it, reposition it. And if you want to see the percent change as well, you can do that. So net percent change. Let's see, I'm going to add it and see what it does. I'm going to click OK. And there we see right here at the very top, you can see that the two symbols that I added are tagged at the very end, the VIX and the @ES. We also added percentage change. So the Dow Jones is down 130 points, but that's only 0.42%. So that's, I mean, the value of the Dow Jones has become so big that now we talk about 130 points, and that's just a small dent on the value of the Dow Jones. We're talking about 0.4%, not even half of a percentage. But if you look over here at the VIX, volatility is up 2% based on the current value. So it's interesting how percentages, you know, give you a little bit more clarity as to the impact and the magnitude of the price. But again, it's optional. You don't need, you know, the percentage change. But I did want to show you that you can look at that position graph bar and modify the symbols that are in there. Let's put in some trades. I'm going to put in some large trades so that we can see some movement. On equities, I'm going to trade Apple. I'm going to trade 1,000 shares. We should get some movement there. I'm going to do it market. I'm going to buy. I'm also going to trade SPY. SPY, it's a little bit more expensive, but I'm also going to do 1,000 shares at market, and I'm going to short. This one I have different flavors up here. Let me go here to the futures tab. I'm going to trade the September contract. I'm going to trade 5 contracts of those, and let's buy them. Let's do a market order. And I'm going to do, let's do gold, GCU22. Gold, I'm not sure. Okay, here's the price of gold. I'm going to buy 5 contracts. I'm going to sell. And what not? Crude oil, GCU22. All right, that's that's okay. CLU22. Trading at $90. I'm going to buy 5 contracts of those. ESU22 contract has expired. All right, so let's just leave the positions that are there. Strange that I'm not really sure, you know, why crude oil September shows that it's expired. Oh, because we are in the month of, we're at the end of August already. I don't think futures have rolled over yet. Have they rolled over to December? That's an interesting question. Maybe they have. One way for me to check is to bring up a chart analysis. Let's go here and bring up a chart. At ES, for example, still trading September 22. So that's the symbol, U22. But if I go to at CL, the one that's being traded is October. Interesting. All right, so I already have some positions open at the very top, so let's just keep them the way they are. Let me go ahead and close this chart. Undock the trade bar. And the more positions you have up here, of course, the positions are going to continue to be aligned side by side. Of course, if you change the size of your position graph bar, they'll be stacked. So they'll only be visible here side by side if you keep the size of the bar like a thin bar at the very top. Let me resize it here so you can see what I'm talking about. If I resize it just enough, you can see that I have two stacks of positions. But if I resize it, big enough so that I can see one single stack, it'll do that automatically for me. So it does the organization for me automatically. And let me keep them this way for now. I'm not sure if the size is comfortable here, but if it's not, let me, sometimes I make the size of my TradeStation a little bit bigger. I may want to do that here. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me go to one tad bigger. I'm going to go to 175%. 175%. If I go bigger than this, it'll just be too big. So, all right. So this is my TradeStation at 175% magnification. That is a setting that I choose on my Windows setting. That's not controlled by TradeStation. So a lot of users of TradeStation complain about TradeStation being too small. And TradeStation is just responding to your screen settings. If you want your TradeStation to look bigger, then you can, increase the magnification on your screens, and you can see that already my position graph bars look a little bit bigger. So for presentation purposes or for education, it makes sense for me to run TradeStation at this size. Okay, first of all, what are these little graphs telling you? Well, first of all, it tells you that you have an open position on each one of the symbols that are displayed here. Not only that, but it also tells you if you're long or short that particular symbol. Starting at the very top with Apple, you can see that there's a plus sign to the left. The plus sign tells you that it's a long position. Doesn't mean that it's making money. It is making money at the moment, but the plus sign only refers to the direction of your trade. You can see that the S&P E-mini futures is also a plus, so you're long 5 contracts. And I think it was just a coincidence here that the 2 positions that I'm short on are the ones that are losing money. Maybe because the markets are turning around and everything is starting to go up. Maybe that's just the reasoning, but we can continue to add more positions here, but I think it just overcomplicates things a little bit. So let's talk about Apple right here at the very top, because the graphs do tell you more than just the real-time P&L. By the way, the real-time P&L is the number you see inside of the box. So for Apple, I'm making $140. For the S&P futures, I'm making 120 or 138, depending on the tick. And for gold, I'm losing $200, and for spiders, I'm losing 37. So whenever you want to see what your open position is doing at any given moment, look at the position graph bar. The inside number tells you how your position is doing at this moment. Looking at Apple again, Apple shows me some additional information. It has 2 numbers, one on the left and one on the right. Those 2 numbers will always tell you where the position has been. If it's been losing or if it lost any money during at any given moment during while it was open, it'll be reflected there. As of now, that position that I just opened on Apple has not been on the negative at all since I opened it. How do I know? Because you see the 0 here on the left-hand side. If it had touched the negative side, at least momentarily at the very beginning, I should have a negative value right in there. But since I see 0, that just means that my position has never been on the negative side. On the right side, you see the maximum that the position has been at any given moment. You can see that it's 355 is the maximum right now, which does not match, the real-time value here. Sometimes, as I'm saying that it doesn't match, it actually matches. It's because, you know, the maximum will always be updated when the real time, you know, pushes it higher and higher. You know, when it retraces back into a lower PNL, you can see like a little shadow. So whenever the green retracts a little bit, you kind of start seeing a little bit of white here on the right-hand side, letting you know, okay, this is, you know, the number that you see on the right is the maximum that the position has been at any given moment. But whatever you see inside of it, the actual green is what it is at the moment. Hopefully that makes sense, you know, because run up and drawdown, those are like the financial terms for what I'm describing, you know, drawdown and run up. These are values that give you an idea of where the position has been. For gold, for example, gold and spider, we have the opposite behavior. They've never been negative. I mean, they've never been positive. So the number on the right-hand side is 0, but they both have been on the negative side. Gold was losing $350 at one moment, but not anymore. It's only losing 300 at the moment. And you can see that the red is kind of retracting from where it was, letting you know that it's not at the maximum. It is at the maximum right now, but all right. So yeah, drawdown and run up are on either side of the graph. You can also tell that the graphs here are what's called, they share the same axis. Sometimes that it's beneficial because you can see how much any particular position is affecting your bottom line. Now, a lot of times, if these graphs were independent from each other, you wouldn't be able to compare what one profit compares to another. You know, here I have a clear understanding on what Apple and the futures contract are doing. And you can see that the two P&Ls, they pretty much, you know, are very similar to each other because the size of the green is almost the same. On the left-hand side, the gray that you see on Apple and the S&P E-mini also reflect what any other position has lost at any given moment. Just a moment ago, we said that Apple and the S&P E-mini have not been on the negative side, and that's still true, but other positions have. And whatever that negative has been on any of these positions, that gets reflected into the position graph bar of all positions. So you can run a visual vertical line right here on these position graph bars, and the P&L or the 0 point is going to align on all these graphs so that you can see the P&L on either side of that 0 line. Of course, this is called shared scaling. You can right click on the position graph bar and go to settings. Take a look at shared scaling is turned on. But if I click on shared scaling here, it's off. So now take a look at Apple and ESU or the futures contract. You can see how there's green all the way to the left-hand side. You can see that it's never been negative. So there's no red inside the box. If you had a position that was negative earlier and positive later, the graph would be split in two. You would see, you know, some negative side and some positive side. But these two positions that I just opened are, you know, set to both sides. Let me see if I can open up another position here. Let me go to apps. Let me go here to, not to apps, let's go to trade bar. Equities. Let's try Tesla. It's trading at $285. I'm gonna buy this at market. Order filled. Okay, since I have a simulator, you know, the money is not a problem. So I have Tesla in here. Okay, Tesla is one of those examples where you can see that we have a negative and we have a positive. So when we first started, it was losing 127. At one point, it made $68. Now, why? Okay, so now you can see how the graph itself is kind of independent. We don't see much color inside of Tesla. Well, not anymore. Now we see a lot of green because it's also giving you a picture of where it's retraced from. You know, there's a maximum negative and there's a maximum positive. Where is Tesla or real time right now? Well, it's kind of at the break-even point, and you see why, and that explains why that graph just has the color right in the middle. Well, then it's fluctuating in real time as it goes up and pushes the maximum of 218. You see how the green just fills the right side of that graph and it just updates accordingly. Okay, but the graphs are independent from each other. If I were to go to shared scaling one more time, settings, shared, take a look. See how Tesla looks? Again, the zero line or the zero vertical lines, the lines with all the different graphs. You know, Tesla has been on the negative, and on the positive side, it's retracted from those maximums. And that's why you see a little bit of the white. The white just means that that position has been in those areas before, but not anymore. And the gray just means that it hasn't gained or lost as much as other positions have. So that's another thing. So you can see that Tesla has been up or the highest high or the highest profit has been 378. But Apple, you know, we're already over 1,000. So that gets considered into the drawing of the graph. So you have to choose whether you like the shared scaling or not. But just be aware that the shared scaling, of course, is going to give you a look that takes into account the P&L of every single position. What else is possible here? Let's go here to settings. All right, so we have the shared scaling. We have show flat positions. Flat position just means that if you're in and out of a particular position, it tells you when you're flat. And it'll only be for those positions that you've closed today. So if I put a check on show flat positions, of course, it doesn't show me anything. But if I close, let's say that I close my spider position, I'm going to right click on spider, close spider. I'm going to close it at market. Order filled. So you can see that it shows a flat position. It says 0 right in the center, letting me know that I had spider at one moment, but not anymore. I'm flat. Now, of course, if I don't trade spider anymore today and I wait until tomorrow, that flat position graph will just disappear on me. All right, right click, settings, and show P&L currency sign. If you're trading anything that is quoted in a foreign currency, you can choose whether you want to display that currency or not. Let me go ahead and hide my flat positions. Right click, settings. You can choose in terms of products that are, you know, quoted on foreign currencies. You can choose whether to display that on the account currency, which is in my case is US dollars, or the symbol currency. Of course, all these that I'm trading right now are all traded in US dollars. So it makes no difference whether I select the symbol currency or the account currency. You have the ability to filter. You know, if I don't want to see futures on my list, I can uncheck or just check, you know, equities and options. If I do that, you can see that it only shows Apple and Tesla. Right click, settings, account filter, all accounts. Okay, right click, settings. You have an account filter and you have also a position filter. So if you don't want to show Apple, let's say that I traded Apple just to have a long-term position, but I don't want to see it in my positions all the time, I can say, give me either, you know, positions open today, which in my case is every single one, or selected positions. So let's see, I'm going to go here to settings. You know, I clicked on selected positions, but it doesn't give me the option to choose which ones, not from the right click menu. So I have to go into customize position graph bar and go into positions because I selected a custom list of positions. So if I don't want to see Apple, I remove Apple, and then I just click OK and OK. So it gives me the list of positions right here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So if you don't see the option you're looking for in the right click menu, go into customize position graph bar because it'll allow you to select the positions that you want to see. All right. Excellent. Let's go ahead and do all positions. So you can filter by positions, you can filter by account number, and this becomes very handy if your TradeStation is set up with different desktops. Now, sometimes you may have a desktop that is created solely for options trading, and you only want to see your options symbols. You may have a desktop that is created for futures, and you only want to see your futures positions at the top. So each one of these position graph bars can be customized. These are separated, or they're desktop associated. So you can make the changes and have multiple position graph bars do different things. Let's see. The sort of these positions, let me go back here to settings and customize position graph bar. I have mine set to, this is symbol ascending. This is it's sorted by symbol. I thought it was sorted by P&L. It's just a coincidence that they're sorted in, that they're making profits and losses based on also their symbol sort. But if you wanted to sort, let's say by P&L, and you want to do it in descending order, that's descending right there. I meant to do it in the opposite order. So I'm going to say PL ascending order. So it goes from the lowest to the highest. If you have a habit of opening up multiple positions, sometimes sorting them by P&L gives you a clear indication of which ones may be trouble positions, which ones you need to pay attention to. And the ones that are winning, that's great. That's just gravy on top. And any ones that are in the red, may want to look at it a little bit closer and see if you can manage that risk a little bit better. Let's right click settings. Let's go and do it again. I'm going to do PL descending. Position graph settings. Show open. PL value as. Okay, these are additional ways that you can show your P&L. You can do cumulative. Sometimes if you're in and out of the same symbol, if you're a futures trader, for example, and you trade the S&P E-mini, and that's the symbol you trade mostly, you may want to know what's been your cumulative P&L for the day. So you have the choice here to show it cumulative, okay? By default, it's just showing the open. If you set it to closed, it'll just wait until the position is closed. All right. Some of the options here, like show flat positions we saw on the right click menu, shared scaling we talked about. Position graph size, I usually don't use these because they'll just change the size of the graph, but there's no nice medium. For example, this is the medium, but if you set them to small, for example, and click OK, I just feel that just a tad too small. Let me right click settings, customize position graph bar. And if I set it to large, they're just way too large. So I wish that they would give us a little bit of more flexibility on the size of these, but I've never been able to use the size and have them show up the way that I want. So the default is just medium. And that's it. That seems to be like the perfect size right there. Settings, customize position graph bar. So that's in terms of the text size and the graph width. A spacing between graphs, you can leave it on normal or large. As I said before, so I don't change these just because the default setting is what I like the most. But you can change it if you want. Okay, that's in terms of positions. We talked about quotes. And tooltips is the information that shows up when you hover on any of these positions. So you get the symbol, the position, the average price, all this information on this column. And that shows up when you hover over it. You get all the information. If you want to simplify the view, when you hover on any of those positions, just go here to settings, customize position graph bar, and just make sure that you remove any of the information you don't need, okay? One of the great things about the position graph bar is that you can manage those positions by right-clicking. I think you just remember when I right-clicked on Spider to close that position, you can do that on any of these. I can right-click on Apple and close it. I can also reverse it. I can reverse it with additional exit orders if that's what I want to do. But explore all the different options that you have on the right click, because sometimes you may want to do something very quickly on your positions. And sometimes, you know, trying to figure out which order entry tool to use, you can just come here, right click, and take action on a particular trade. If I want to do Apple, and I want to say customize at the TradeStation trade bar, it opens up the trade bar and I can customize the order before it gets submitted, okay? So let me go back here to my position graph bar. What else can I show you? Whenever you have any open positions on any of these orders or any of these positions, it'll show you. Right now, I don't have any exits or any type of protective stops or any profit targets. Let's suppose that over here, if Apple goes to 1,500, I may want to exit. So if I put in that trade, let me do that right now. I'm going to say limit for 1,000. Let me click on the P to make sure that that's my position size. And my limit price, well, in here I cannot say when it reaches 1,500. It would have to be, what's my entry price? Let's see. I entered, I can see my average price right there, 161.17. I have 1,000 shares. So if I want to make 1,500, that's just $1.50 on my entry price. So if I got in at 161.17, I have to get out at 162.67. 162.67. So I'm going to put that in here. 162.67. Trade 162.67 for Apple 1,000. And I'm just going to say GTC, just in case if it doesn't happen today, it can happen tomorrow. I'm going to say sell. Okay, so now take a look at what happens here in my position graph bar. Apple has a little asterisk to the right, different than the other symbols. The other symbols don't have that asterisk. Well, the asterisk just lets you know, that's just additional information that there are some active orders tied in with that position. It knows that if the price of Apple goes to 162.67, then it's going to sell those 1,000 shares. But that's something additional that you get inside the position graph bar. If I were to cancel that order, cancel my sell 1,000 Apple, then you can see how the asterisk just goes away. And this is also true for any OCOs and OSOs that are tied in with our positions. Are there any questions on this functionality? In fact, let me allow you guys to turn on microphones in case you can, unless you have access to them, and you can ask any questions if you have any. Okay, you can also send your questions here in the chat. But the information that you see here inside the position graph bar is the same information that you see in some other applications like the Trade Manager. Let me go open up the Trade Manager. Let me go here to positions. And you can see my list of positions right here. But again, you know, I like the graph up here, especially the shared scaling, because you can see the profit and loss compared to other open positions in the account. But yeah, the Trade Manager will give you a list. And one of the things that the Trade Manager gives you that looking at this does not is a running total. So you can see that my 4 positions are added up right here, and it tells me that I'm making about $1,500 on all 4 positions. Okay, Any other questions? All right, guys, that's my class for today. I wanted to show you some information on that position graph bar. Sometimes it is overlooked. I use it many times, and I dock it at the top of my trade station if I'm keeping track of open positions, because it gives me quick access also to manage those positions if you need to at any given moment. You can just right click on those boxes and take a look at all the order entry functionality you get there. So my recommendation would be for you to experiment. Make sure that you're connected to the trading simulator so that you can test out the functionality. And if you have any questions, but in doing so, just remember that tomorrow at 11:30, we have Ask the Experts. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there, okay? Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for joining me for class today, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.